your joystick and let's explore pixel worlds behind that door. Dice are rolling, the board begins. Nerdy vibes for the wins. It's geek bait, we're hooked for sure. Talking passion, pure and more. Movies, comics, games collide in this retro neon ride.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Geek Bait episode 6. I can't believe we've been doing this for 6 months now, but I'm joined once again by my co-hosts, Nerdy Geezer Lee and Retro Chef, who's also Lee, but we call him Chef because we all have massive respect for him and wish we all worked for his kitchens so we could be told what to do by him. But Chef, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm very well. I'm happy that we haven't been taken down by YouTube yet for some sort of illegal content or whatever, or some sort of propaganda we're up to on this stream. Whatever we're doing, we're still here.
We're still keeping it clean. We're still keeping it non-blue, which is nice. That's nice. Lee, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, good. I'm raring to go.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, let's just jump into it then. Let's crack on with today's episode. And I thought we'd first of all speak about a little adventure we all went on. So, Lee, I'm going to come to you to kick us off. What did we get up to in the last couple of weeks?
Well, we got up to going to Sandown Toy Fair. Yeah, really good day that, wasn't it? I really enjoyed myself.
Yeah, it was very good.
I think we really made the right decision doing the early bird, didn't we? For sure.
Definitely.
I think we also probably made a fatal mistake as well when we was going around, but we'll get to that, I suppose, a bit later on. But it's great. So much stuff. I mean, honestly, like, I wish I had more money. Let's put it that way. There's so many things.
Yeah, that's true. So for those that don't know, Sandown it's a race course in the southwest of London, just sort of. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Is it southwest?
Yeah, it's southwest.
Yeah, southwest. And there was a toy fair there. It's called the Sandown Toy Fair. Don't confuse Sandown with the Sandown in the Isle of Wight. If you've gotten to the Isle of Wight, you've gone too far south, and you need to go back up north to get back to the race ground. Chef can definitely give you directions there. He definitely didn't get lost and didn't turn up an hour late to when the rest of us got there. Following his interestingly French sat nav. So
I thought it was strange when I was on the course and the horses were riding next to me. I did think this is a different kind of pony I should be riding, but anyway, it's all fine. No one died.
Your car struggled with the jumps a little bit, didn't it? But you got there in the end,
just a little bit.
Yeah. So a huge toy fair. I think they promoted 500 tables or something, didn't they say they were going to be there?
Yeah.
Which I think pinch of salt on that one. I think a little bit because I think some vendors could hire multiple tables. So yes, technically 500 tables, probably more realistically 250, 300 vendors probably then with multiple tables. But still huge, right? Still way more than you could see everything, right? It was really was quite huge. So I don't know. What was your thoughts on it, Chef? How did you think of the day?
I thought it was great. I'm so sorry, the door's just gone.
I'm sorry. Do you need to go?
Yeah, I got to open the door.
Go. Me and Lee will talk about the toy fair. There we go. This is how you know it's live, ladies and gentlemen, because Chef just had to run off screen. Lee, what was your thoughts on the actual day then?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Lots to see. Like, I mean, what you're saying there about 500 stalls, I mean, a lot of the vendors had like, 3 or 4 stalls, a lot of them, didn't they? But before we go any further, we should probably add who we ran into, because we saw a few people, didn't we? So we saw Retro Ed UK, didn't we? Spoke to him a few times, didn't we? Is it Retro Bunga? Was another guy that I briefly spoke to.
Yeah.
They did have someone else with them, but I didn't catch his name. It was just sort of hello, and that was it, sort of thing. We saw Ed Hunt, didn't we?
Yeah.
He was stalling out, which was nice because I haven't met Ed Hunt before, so that was good. I think Chef spoke to, was it Empire Toys? I think he spoke to him. He was walking past us at one point. So we ran into quite a few people, didn't we? There was a few walking around. Like I said earlier, though, I think I could have, like, I really wish I had more money. There were so many things. Yeah, but I suppose the main thing, or main two things for me, was that I ended up putting myself down another rabbit hole, which I'll probably end up regretting later. So there's that. That rabbit hole, guys, if you're wondering, is I guess I'm now collecting vintage Star Wars figures again. And I say again because I've done it before, only, 40 odd years ago. So I technically have them, the whole collection already, but I have no way of getting them. So I guess I'm collecting them again. So there's that. I couldn't leave them. Like, when you saw the price of them, like, you guys saw the condition of them, they were complete, they were all there. Like that squid face, for example, you rarely see it with the cloak, the skirt bit, the belt on it, and the weapon, and all the paint be good. For 15 quid, it was just a bargain. I couldn't leave it there. Like, something just compelled me. Look, like, you're buying this, so just get it. You know. So there was that. But then obviously another thing later on, as we was walking around, was we started looking at a stall that was selling games, and I dismissed Batman Returns on a SNES, thinking it was the same as the Mega Drive version I've got.
Rookie mistake. Rookie. Call yourself a gamer. Call yourself a collector.
Well, the thing is, this is the thing. Although I had a SNES in the background, I didn't have a SNES for long. So I was more Mega Drive. So I kind of had a SNES between Mega Drives. So a lot of the library I'm ignorant to, really. So yeah. I mean, I went straight for Road Rage 2, and then, as Chef's telling me about Batman Returns, then I spotted that Master System game, and the name's gone right out of my head now.
Master of Darkness.
Master of Darkness, that's it.
Yeah.
And I remember, I looked at it, saw the right, and I thought, no, that can't be it, surely. Like, for that price, no, can't be. And then picked it up, and obviously it was complete, and yeah, so got a really good deal, and even got a cheeky deal, because them 3 games came to, I think it was originally priced, it would have come to 105, which was good anyway, wasn't it? And then obviously I asked if there was anything he could do, as I was buying all 3, and he knocked another £5 off. So yeah, between the two of you saved me a few quid there. So yeah, and obviously enlightened me to the fact that the SNES version is different. And man, that's a good game. I've been playing that. The graphics are really nice looking as well on that.
It is good. It's good.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, Lee, if that had been the other way around, I'd have fell into the same mistake, because to me, Batman Returns is the SNES game, and I couldn't actually tell you what the Mega Drive version looks like. So I would have thought the other way around. I'd have been like, oh no, it's a great side-scrolling beat 'em up. So yeah, I would have made the same
mistake. The Mega Drive version is a bit more platformy. Like you got to do stuff. The only thing I used to like the music in Batman Returns on the Mega Drive. It's got a very distinct music soundtrack compared to the SNES. Obviously, is a lot different because obviously the Sony chip in it. But the SNES version is just awesome, man. Like, just wow, what a game!
Especially the throw mechanic.
Nowhere.
Yeah, the best thing about the Batman version on the SNES is the throw mechanic, where you can launch people into the wall. I don't think I've seen that in many other beat 'em ups, where you push up and throw, and you just slam them into windows and and stuff. Like, it's just such a cool little extra they put in there. Yeah, you can just spend the whole game just throwing people into walls. Which is great.
I like the jumping moves on it as well, because you can either do a jumping kick, or you can do where he spreads his cloak out and sort of comes down chest first, like,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's a really cool. But yes, you had a great bargain there. Just to go back to the Star Wars figures, obviously you said you're going to collect them all. What does that mean? What does a collection of Star Wars figure account to? Like, what's the numbers?
I think it's around. I don't think it's as many as you think. I think it's about 150 maybe figures. It's
okay,
not, or maybe just under. It's not as many as you think, but it also comes down to what you class as figures. I mean, at one point, you'll remember, I saw a boxed Rancor, didn't I? And I was like, oh God, like, I mean, something was calling me over. But as I sort of walked over, luckily someone had bought it, so that option was out the window, you know. But yeah, I do miss my Rancor, and the problem with that is trying to get it box complete for starters in good condition is quite difficult. But then there's also the fact the switch on the back that does the jaw, quite often that's broke on a lot of them. So trying to get one that's still got that still working, and that one was. So you know there was potential that I would have bought that if someone weren't already buying it. So, but then the other thing walking around was all the Centurion figures. I mean, I did want to buy them, but I know they're pricey. I mean, you're well over £100 per figure, so yeah, pricey.
Yeah. In the Star Wars collection, is there any is there like a grail one? Is there one that's way harder to find than the others? Is there anything like that?
I don't know about harder, but the most expensive one, to my knowledge, is Yak Face, which again, like I say, I've got. I know I've got it. There's a couple of Ewoks that fetch a little bit more because they were special edition figures. But Yak Face, I've got no idea what the price is now, but I know at one point it was going for about 300 quid. So,
Oh wow.
yeah, and that's loose. Like if you got it
Yeah.
boxed, wow, even more. So, but I am buying them loose. That's something I should add. I want them complete, loose, as the best condition I can get them in.
Yeah.
You know? And this is the other thing. It depending on where they were made is how much they go for too. Because if you've got like a Hong Kong stamp or somewhere else, sometimes it'll have like no stamp as to where it came from. So that affects the value. And then also depending on where it's come from, it might be painted different. The weapon might be a different color. So there are differences, like depending,
wow.
and as a result, that affects the price. So I'm not too fussed about that. I don't really mind where it comes from. I just really want to get a full run of them. So there are figures, like I say, I know there are a few that are going to cost me a fair bit. So, but maybe I'll just leave them to last, you know, and go for the cheaper ones to start with. So, but yeah, I've actually picked up another 2 since then. So yeah, because I picked 2 up that day, didn't I? I've picked another 2 up since. So
Nice.
yeah.
Well, people need to go over to the Nerdy Geezers Collectibles channel and see all these awesome pickups, don't they? Because that's what it will be, I assume.
Yeah.
Your Star Wars pursuit. Nice. Chef, what was your on the day of? You know, what did you see? What did you pick up? What did you like?
Just the vast amount of different stuff, that things I've not seen before, which I thought was pretty cool. The lot of Hornby stuff, like I'm not into that at all, but to see some of that and some of the tin toys and the cars, I must admit there was a lot of stuff that I didn't even know got toys, like Mummies Alive. I don't remember much toys for them, and I saw some bits of Mummies Alive, and I was like, that's pretty cool. But obviously, I picked up the Shadow figure, which I was really chuffed about because it's hard to get them carded because they didn't have a massive run over here.
Yeah, you had to get that figure for the price they wanted. You had to buy that. That was so cheap.
£16 I paid in the end, and he wanted 20, and the cheapest one on eBay carded is $34.99, I think it is. I've already got that figure, but I haven't got it carded. But yeah, it was just cool to see. Obviously, you mentioned about the tubers we met, Lee. We met some guys that I've followed on the toy side and whatnot. It was just a great day, and like you said, Martin, 500 tables, but a lot of people had 2 or 3 tables, so that's probably where they get the 500 tables from, because there wasn't 500 vendors, let's say. But yeah, it was a great day, and I look forward to it. The next one is in May, around my birthday, so potentially I could be going. Hopefully, you two will be there as well.
Yeah,
sounds like a good day. Yeah, I mean, my view on it is I thought it was the first toy fair I've ever been to. I think probably for the same for most of us. So I was really impressed by just the sheer amount of it. Yes, there was a lot of train but that's that's my dad's space. Or my dad loves his train sets and the stuff that's there. And so I've been to big train fairs before. And there's one in Victoria which is Victoria Palace, which is really big. No, Alexandra Palace, not Victoria Palace, sorry. So I wasn't surprised by that stuff. I really liked, and it's not my thing at all, but the dinky toys, the really old Matchbox cars, like way beyond when we were, kids. They come in the little cardboard boxes, and if you do go over to Nerdy Geezer's channel, you'll see one that he actually did pick up, and they're so lovely presented. Like the way toys looked back then. I know this is probably, tinted glasses and all that, but the fact that they came in these little cardboard boxes with lovely artwork on it, just something really, I don't know, just authentic about them compared to the plastic stuff you obviously get today, and and the AI art and all this sort of stuff. This is all hand drawn, cardboard. It's just so well done. So I found all that stuff fascinating. Of course, I love looking at all like the pocket money toys as well. So the monsters in my pocket, the muscle men. There's loads of that stuff there. The boglins, I even picked up a couple of those. As you two know, walking around with Clark, my youngest, he was being given toys by people. I think he had the best haul of all of us. That cost nothing.
He did well. He did
really well. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
We'd be standing at a stall looking at toys and stuff, and then someone would just reach over and go, "Does he want one of those? You can just take one." And therefore, I came home with all sorts of little bits and pieces. So,
do you know
that's
something? Sorry, just something quickly, mind to say there. Look how nice that is.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, you've gone somewhere where people are out there to make money to pay for their whatever they do, their rent, their mortgage, or whatever. But the generosity was unreal. I've never seen that before. I've been to many a gaming fairs. This is the second toy fair I've been to. I've been to Birmingham like a gazillion million years ago with my big brother, and the generosity was unreal. The attitude was really good. There was no snobbiness until the pushing. But I mean, I just thought it was a great atmosphere, and I would say to anyone who hasn't been to a toy fair, please go to one, because I thought it was just great. I left there thinking, wow, it's a really good experience,
Yeah, I would echo that. It definitely wasn't just like you think, oh, is it just for the enthusiasts? Is it just for the big spenders? No, it's actually a family event. I took my boys, obviously Lee, you took yours, and I didn't at one point feel like, oh, this isn't really for them. They were looking at the toys. Blake, my middle son, he was picking up a bunch of Matchbox cars, and then obviously Clark was picking up the things that he liked, but often was just being given little trinkets here and there, and they weren't like big expensive stuff, but it's still, like you say, it makes you feel welcome, right? It makes you feel like, oh, this is a really nice environment. So and I guess
even Lee's boy.
Yeah.
Sorry. Even Lee's boy was like looking for the big cars.
Yeah.
And like it was like he had a like he's not he was so in looking at him, and it was just so much to see for him. So like you say, it's for every age, whether you're an old man and a young kid, or a young girl and an old woman. It was just great for everyone. I think definitely family fun.
The thing I've noticed through my collectibles channel and talking to other channels is it is a very different community, very welcoming. Like, and you don't get that sort of like snobbiness or argy-bargies. Everyone I've interacted with has always been really nice, and I think that's why you see that at the toy fairs as well, because ultimately they're the same sort of people you're going to have at them. So, and it's just very welcoming. Like I've noticed that, like when you're in one community, you might always think that the community you're in is how all of them are, and it's not. It's really not. It's very different when it comes to the toy community.
I wonder if that's because ultimately it's toys, and toys invoke such childlike memories and attitudes and stuff like that, and therefore
we are going deep on this stream.
I know. I'm trying to get to the and maybe it is. Maybe that the fact is ultimately you can't, because I think in gaming sometimes, in some of our other hobbies, they can be a bit elitist, right? Have you got the most mintest copies of this stuff, and are you playing the right type of this game and that game and all this sort of stuff? Where I think toys are just you can't. in my opinion, you can't be snobbish about it. They're a toy. They invoke such great memories of being a child and playing, and you know, anything goes, your imagination, all this sort of stuff. So maybe that is the difference in the community. I'm sure there are elitist groups within groups and stuff like that. You know, your carded version of this figure has got a crease in it here, there, and all this little variants and that sort of stuff. But I haven't encountered that, certainly, in what we've been seeing so far. And also, like you said, everything was covered. There was trains, there was dolls, there was action figures, there was cars, be that model cars, Lego cars, whatever it is. Anything you're looking in that space, there was something there for everybody, right? And I think that was really cool. Yeah, what was your highlight, Lee? Do you have anything that was like you were just wowed by it when you were there?
Well, I don't know about wowed, but there was a couple of things that I saw and I was like, well, I haven't seen that before. I was surprised to see that they released Thundercats Battle Beasts. I don't remember that being a thing. Do you?
No.
When I saw them, I was like, wow, now that's something I haven't seen before. Like, you know, and I thought I'd seen everything, you know. So yeah, that was quite surprising to me. I think that was probably the main thing. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head, but I mean, there was so much to look at when there is. It's almost overwhelming, isn't it? When you see how much is there. I mean, at one point, I think you was buying some figures, which is a point actually. You haven't mentioned what you picked up yet, Martin. But I remember you saying to me, "Oh, there's some Supernaturals here, Lee," and I was looking, I was like, "Yeah, they're overpriced," like, you know, sort of thing. So I wasn't interested. I knew that they were going for way more than they should have been, but yeah, there's just so much stuff like everywhere, and like I said, Centurions was the thing that I was kept looking at, and you know, back of my brain's going, "Buy it, Lee, buy it," like that, and it's like, yeah, but then I'd want all of them, and I don't have enough money for all of them. So, you know,
yeah. What about you, Chef? Any highlight of the day?
It was seeing a young man in Martin collect his Nintendo Watch. The joy he had on his face was like.
I'll be honest, I was jealous.
It was like you just walked out of Argos with your mummy and daddy, and you just opened it. Yay! It was you look so happy. Listen, listen, it was just a good day. The highlight was I got to go with my mates, and we had a good laugh. I made everyone laugh. We had a good laugh, which was always important for me. I know, Dory, I know. And I just felt it was just a great atmosphere, and I can't wait to the next one.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, definitely. I was well chuffed with some of the pickups I got. The Mario watch, for those who don't know, there is a Mario 3 wristwatch you can get, a little game watch. We've got Dory in the background. She's joining into the chat.
Sorry.
Hello, Dory.
Sorry.
There we go. So she was I picked that up, and I was well chuffed with that because it was. I think what it was is I wasn't expecting to see it, so when I saw it and it was a great price, I had to get it. You know, so I'm really chuffed that I got that. And then I picked up a few figures of things I wanted to get. Like I've got a few of the Visionary characters. Visionaries to me is one of those cartoons that as a kid I loved. It talks to everything I really like. You know, the neon colors, the fantasy world, the magic sword and sorcery, and it has like cool vehicles and all this sort of stuff. So the figures to me are also really iconic, and I wanted to get managed to complete one. I needed to get a whip for one of the characters, which I managed to find, which is brilliant. In fact, I got that for free when I bought some other figures, so that was really good. And then I got a complete Witterquick, which is my favorite character from Visionaries. He's the guy that can change into a cheetah, and he has the staff that can make him go at super speed. So I was really cast together, and now I have 3 complete Visionary characters. I keep looking at them going, I wonder what a full set of Visionary characters would look like.
This is how it starts.
Yeah. So I feel like this might be my, like, each time I go to one of these fairs, I come home with a complete Visionary character. So over time, I complete the set on our days out. So, but yeah, it was actually really fun just walking around with you guys, seeing what you're passionate about and how our passions are different. You know, our memories of toys and stuff like that. So that was really cool. I guess we'll talk about the one low light. We should highlight always, you know, what wasn't so great. And yeah, I'll let you. Maybe you can talk us through it, Chef. What was the, you know, when things sort of kicked off a little bit?
Well, to be honest, it was the the look on Lee's face of disgust for the sandwich price he had to pay. That was the one. That was the. Oh no, sorry.
It was
Yeah,
though.
so-
I mean, come on.
It's 2 slices of bread. That's it. Sorry. Yeah, no. So yeah, we walked around. We met a couple of tubers in the morning who already did their walk around. So we definitely need to get there bang on 8 o'clock and whatnot. And by the time
well, we would have been there bang on 8 o'clock, chef. It's just one of us.
No, hang on a minute.
One of us couldn't get
Come
there.
on.
Prince Satnav.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just there was quite a few individuals. I want to say older as well. I'm not even going to say younger people.
Yeah.
Older people were barging around when we were going around after lunch, where we thought we'd get some footage. They were just all barging around, not running. Just like me and Lee were at one counter waiting to look into a box, and they kind of just jumped in front of us.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to hold the man back because I thought he was going to tear Lee's head off. I mean, I thought Lee was going to tear his head off. Yeah,
I'll be honest. He's lucky
mad.
he was old, because I waited patiently and he just jumped in front of me, like, didn't he? Like, old guy.
Geek Bake does not condone violence at events.
No, not at all. Yeah, it was just a little bit of. I think those people that didn't pay the early bird and then they wanted to run around basically because the attitude at the beginning was not like that. It was very relaxed.
Yeah,
we could walk around, like and then after was it no, not 12.
After 10, wasn't it?
Was it after? Sorry, after
Yeah.
10. It just got a little bit car booty, let's say.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I agree. It felt like you're almost at 2 events. It felt like when we were there super early. I think we were in there by 9. I think you could walk up to the stall, you could see everything. You weren't trying to squeeze between people, and it felt super relaxed and that welcoming environment that we talked about, right? Being able to talk to a vendor for a moment, them having a laugh with your kid or something, and giving him a boggling, or talking about some of the things and showing each other, and that we did. We were fortunate we got around the whole place in that first time. Because we even said to each other, well, we'll do some recording, but we'll actually, I think I recommended, let's get around first and then we can go back round again and do all our filming and stuff like that. But of course, we went round, did all that, bought some bits as well. Then we sat down for lunch, which was fairly expensive. I think I paid nearly 50 quid for 3 of us to have hot food. It was quite ridiculous. And I don't think your sandwiches are 20 quid or something. Lee, was you saying they weren't cheap, right? So
not quite as expensive as that, but yeah, it was about 14 quid just for 2 sandwiches.
yeah. And of course then it felt like you were at a new event, because when we all went out again, by this time, it's been open for 2 hours to general admission. So it's now 12 o'clock. So 2 hours have passed and the place is rammed. Like it is you can't get near a stall without having to sort of argy-bargy in the nicest possible way through people. They hadn't put they put a lane system in, but they should have put a one-way system in, because really you had people going in both directions in already cramped aisles, and it just made it impossible to move. So I don't think we even made it. We made up halfway up one aisle, and we'd called it a day, didn't we? We were like, because our plan was to go back around and record, show some stalls, capture some footage, and you guys had kind of started doing that. But by the time we'd got halfway up, we saw a little space to break out into, and therefore we decided to call it quits, because by that point we'd already been barged into. Add little spats of people, were trying to push in and grab things and stuff like that, and it just felt like, oh, this is actually a different event now, and we're not enjoying it. So it's a real shame, because it was like an event of 2 halves, wasn't it? The first half we loved and we'd do again, and the second half I'm like, if I turned up now, I don't think I would be enjoying this. So
I think now it explains why, because when I watch other toy channels like Edge Retro Geek Out or whatever, I've noticed that they're always recording while they're buying and talking to people, and now I get why. They obviously record footage while they're buying stuff, and now, like, we've got a learning curve now. Now we know, don't we? Next time we go, we'll record while we're buying that first time round, and then we're in and out before the rush. So it's just a learning curve, isn't it? We now know for future events sort of thing. I mean, the thing that worried me the most was obviously I'd got that really nice Batman Returns boxed, and I had all these people barging into me. And my thoughts the whole time was, if my game gets wrecked, I'm going to go mad. Like, you know, that was the whole time. That's what I was thinking. Like, you know, because it was, I was getting it from all angles. Like, I imagine you probably the same. They weren't just bumping into like the side of you. It was behind you, in front of you, you know, just everywhere, wasn't it? And we're not exactly small fellas either. So, yeah.
Well,
yeah. So I think, I mean, what was the cost, Lee? Was it £8 more to go early? What was the cost for the early bird?
£7 more, because it was it 7 or was it 8? No, it was £8 standard, I think. 15 quid for the early bird. So it's worth paying the extra. For sure.
Yeah, I think without a doubt, £7. I got £7 worth of enjoyment out of going early, because what I saw from general admission, I don't think I'd have. Well, 100% we would not have made it around the whole event.
Yeah.
We would have done 2 or 3 aisles and then gone, is there anything you're really after? No, not really. We probably would have left, right? Because I don't think either one of us could have stomached, especially. And that's where I would say, if you had little kids with you, you're also trying to get your kids through these crowds, and it just felt really uncomfortable. So for that £7, go early. And enjoy it, because it was really enjoyable. So I think ultimately it was a thumbs up for the event for me, but definitely I would have to go early, I think, you know. Yeah, or maybe if you don't want to pay that money, go later. Then go late afternoon, maybe go 2 hours before the event ends, and it probably has died down by then. It's probably that middle period that's the worst, you know. Yeah, it just means you might miss out on bits you might have been looking for. But I think the early bird is definitely worth its money, for sure. And take sandwiches by the sounds of it. Otherwise,
yeah, we know that for future, don't we? Yeah, could have paid like £2 for a sandwich out of Tesco's.
Yeah. Or have a chef with you who could bring lunch. You know, maybe chef can do us a little pack up next time, a little picnic outside.
Maybe next time I'll do it. I'll do a little bento box, a little smorgasbord for us all.
Nice.
Sounds good.
Excellent. Chef, I'm going to come to you, because you are our champion of YouTube. You are the guy who is always out there for the little guy, or not even the little guy, sometimes just the unknown guys. So I thought it'd be great to hear from you about some channels that you've been listening to recently, and other things that you want to give a shout out to, because this is what you're about.
Oh my, that's so nice of you to say. Was it scripted?
No, that was. It's what you told me to say. You gave me a tenner.
Yeah. Was it only a tenner? Okay. Yeah, I like. I obviously like all of us. We don't just watch gaming stuff, or you know, I watch golfing stuff, car stuff. I watch movie stuff like we all do. And I found a channel recently called FILMIX, which I'm sure Martin will put a link in the bottom. And it's basically all the 70s and 80s and 90s B movies, like martial arts, horror movies, whether it's European, whether it's Asian or American. And there's some classics on there. I've watched No Retreat, No Surrender 1, 2, and 3 on there, and they're really good picture.
Why? Why would you watch it? That's all I'm going to ask.
What? And you've got a movie channel? Yeah, mate, they're classics. I mean, they're the cheese is unreal.
Classically bad.
Yeah. Sidekicks, which was one of my favourite films when I was a kid, with Chuck Norris and this kid he was in Sequest DSV. I think he died in real life, this actor. I used to love that film. There's loads of films in it, like the Bloodsport, the Kickboxer movie, not Bloodsport, sorry, the Kickboxer 2, Kickboxer 3 movies, and all this. Or is there Bloodsport 2 and 3 on there with that actor? I forgot his name, the guy from Belgium. Anyway, it's a really good channel. There's really good stuff on there. Drive is on there, a Mark Dacascos film where he's got a turbo as a heart and he's a martial artist. It's proper like cheese fest, but it's like B movie awesomeness. And obviously, I was talking about this other channel, which I don't really know much about, but he made, or he's fan adjusted, I don't know what the term is, Transformers the movie. Now, the 86 movie. And I was saying to Lee, because Lee's pretty good when it comes to the 4K or the AI kind of stuff. And I thought it might be AI rendered or AI assisted, because it looks pretty cool, what I've seen so far. It's nice and vibrant. you know, Transformers is all about colors. When you watch the cartoon, all the actual characters were all different colors. They weren't all reds and blues. They were all multicolored. So some of the shine of this movie, or this reformatted movie, is awesome. Like I'm sure Mike will drop a link in the bottom, but I was super impressed. I know Lee had a quick scan on it. It's just one of those films that it's very dear to me. I watch it once a month, sometimes twice a month still, because it's just one of those films I loved to reminisce about. I don't know about you two when it comes to that particular movie. But there's two channels there that do lots of different stuff. One's heavily based on Transformers, and one does a lot of, say, B movie, horror, martial arts, just everything kind of B movie esque. So yeah, they're two good channels.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Because it'd be great to see some, even if you just have them on the side whilst you're doing other things. Right, sometimes some of these movies don't have to have your full attention, do they? You can watch them whilst you're doing other bits and pieces. So yeah, I will definitely include links below so people can check those things out. Yeah, Lee, I don't know. Obviously, you said you looked at that Transformer thing that Chef shared over. What was your thoughts on it?
It's a difficult one, because when I looked at it, I was like, is it AI assisted or is it just a 4K format? Because I know when I looked at a comparison video in the past between the Blu-ray release of Transformers the movie and the 4K release, there is a stark difference. There's a lot more color, it's sharper. And I mentioned to you in the group chat the other day that what you notice with 4K is, you know, on other formats, the background would be slightly blurry, but 4K always brings out everything, including the background, you know, like so much more detail. And that's one of the things you notice with the 4K release of that, from what I've seen. I don't actually own it because at the moment the price is going up on it for some reason.
Yeah, it's gone a bit mad, that has, to be honest, Lee.
Yeah. So, but when I looked at that, like it was like, so is it that's really been adjusted, or is it just a 4K release of it? It's hard to say. I'd have to look at them side by side to actually really be able to tell. But yeah, it looked good. Did look good. Very colourful. The reds and that looked really nice on it. So,
yeah, it's nice and vibrant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what they've done then, rather than just being some sort of AI uplift. It is just a recolorization, they've gone through frame by frame and just sort of, you know,
maybe
refreshed it almost, you know.
Because when you look at the old VHS or DVD release of it, it is quite washed out, isn't it, compared to newer stuff? So maybe it could be just a recoloring. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, cool. Nice one. All right. Well, like I say, I'll include all the links below to bits and pieces. Go and check them out, and maybe in the comments wherever you're listening to this, you can give us your own thoughts on it. And by the way, also in those comments, you know, shout out channels that you've checked out recently that you think are worth sharing with us, because we'll definitely have a look at them, and maybe we'll talk about them on a future episode and stuff. So yeah, that's really cool. Well, talking about 4K quality, I'll talk about my next topic, which is better than 4K, right? And it's called LaserDisc.
Chrome Frisbees.
Yes. Thanks to my good friend Chef, I am now the owner of a LaserDisc player in the Hobby Lodge, and I absolutely love it. Not from a point of nostalgia, because I didn't have it, or did I know anybody with it, but I was aware of its existence because you'd see the TV advert, or you'd see it being advertised in places, or it being the boutique sort of, you know, TV and video shops back in the day, but it was unattainable by probably certainly people in my background. It was unattainable. So to have one now is just, for me, it's just cool tech. I've always been a sucker for tech, you know, and to now have one of these, is it as good a quality as a 4K Blu-ray or even DVD? No, but is it really, really cool? 100%. If you've never held a LaserDisc CD, you don't understand until you hold one, right? You think, oh, it's just a big CD. It's more than a big CD. It's a gigantic CD. There's also thick. That's what I didn't. That's the thing that surprised me, was, believe it or not, boys, the thickness was the thing that surprised me.
The girthiness, right?
Yeah. Exactly. I understood its bigness, but I didn't understand its thickness, and the thickness is the thing that caught me out. So yeah, these things are solid CDs. You could definitely, you know, in a Shaun of the Dead style, take out a zombie with one of these, you know, without a doubt. So that's what I'm going to keep them for. I'm going to keep them in the shed for when that day happens and I've got zombies in the garden. I've got deadly discs. Or as Chef mentioned, what's the film with Dolph Lundgren in it? I Come in Peace. What's
Dark
that movie?
Angel.
Archangel.
Or what the other name in it is, I Come in Peace or something, or whatever it's called. That's the other name
it's
of
got
it.
a different name in abroad, I think.
Yeah. But it reminds me of the disc weapon he's got in that, or even sometimes when you hold them, it feels a bit like the Terminator, the Predator weapon that he has as well that he can throw and cut through things. They are deadly weapons, the LaserDisc, and it's just it's just such a cool thing. Like the size of it, the drawer that comes in and out of the LaserDisc player is ginormous. Like this CD drive.
Can I just interrupt? I just want to say, Martin needs to put a picture up of a Cheshire cat. He's grinning ear to ear, people. He's dripping nostalgia, even though we didn't have one. But he's dripping. He's living the dream, people.
Yeah, it is that. I'm just a sucker for these things, and I've been really enjoying it. And the nice thing about it is, obviously, the players I think are quite difficult to get hold of. Although Chef always seems to know someone that knows somebody that can get one.
I know.
But the films have been really reasonable. I've been picking up LaserDisc movies for less than a tenner. You know, and sometimes. Literally we'll see if it comes through in the post, but I just got The Crow for £5, you know, which is an iconic movie. And that's a super cheap LaserDisc. And I can see Lee's currently showing off his tattoo of The Crow. But yeah, and they're just, even the movies, before you even put the film on and you open up these LP sized cases and there's pictures in there. There's a bit of blurb about the film. It might or might not be in Japanese, but that's okay. They just look fantastic. Like you feel that you're holding something quite special. And I've now discovered that these things are called gatefold, and they open out, and it's just an amazing experience. I'm really chuffed to have it. And if you haven't checked out LaserDisc, I think once you pop, you can't stop. It is the Pringles of of video collection with it. So I'm chuffed to bits with it, as you can probably tell. Lee, tell me more about LaserDisc. Or Chef, tell me more about LaserDisc. Yeah, Chef, tell me more about LaserDisc.
Wow. It's when you said you wanted one, I was like, I have to get you one because I knew you was going to be like this. I knew you would, because yes, okay, it's inferior to an extent, but it's like you said, Martin, many a time, it's a ceremony. It's the way the tray comes out, and it's like a tray you'd put drinks on anyway. You'd serve someone off.
You can put your dinner plate on it. It's so big.
I'm telling you, the way it comes out, it greets you. This massive behemoth of a system, and then you're putting this. I can only describe as a NASA grade CD into a unit that's teleporting people to Mars. But it's just so cool. And I'll be honest with you, when I was at yours and we was watching it, I thought aliens looked wicked on that screen. I'm not even gonna pretend. I'm not even gonna say to you, because it's got that little bit of grain on it, which is just so acceptable because it's like you're watching a VHS, or in terms of that's what you would expect. But obviously this was the pinnacle. This was better than VHS.
Can I just interject you just a second? A little thing on Aliens. Sir. Aliens is a grainy film anyway because of the type of film. It was recorded on Kodak something. It's a certain number and it's always grainy when you film on that. So that's why the grains there. Like you've got that even in the later releases. So.
But what I was saying to Chef is that when I play some of these films, the fact is I'm going to be using it for old films, right? And in my eyes, old films look bad. So I know I can get a 4K version of something. But when I watched it when I was young, I watched it on a VHS. It wasn't high quality. So it's almost like I know the 4K version of a film is going to be the best version of the film. but that's not what I remember. I remember
No.
watching Aliens on probably when I first watched Aliens, I can bet it was probably recorded off the telly, or my dad had done a tape to tape copy of it. So it wasn't even like I was watching the original. It was probably a dodgy copy anyway. And you kind of watched it with all the flicker and the VCR doing its calibration as it goes. You know, they get the tracking, the tracking at the top and things like that. So to me, there is an added value of it. Watching it in poor quality is almost more like, it almost feels more authentic to me watching it in poor quality. But like I say, it certainly isn't bad quality, right?
These were sold as the pinnacle. So you wanted home cinema. You wanted a cinema at home. This is what you got. And I was saying to you, like a lot of people who I speak to on the LaserDisc forums, they've got projectors, but they've got the old school style projector. So it is like a cinema, you know, because I remember cinemas when we were young wasn't how they are now. They were no way perfect. I remember seeing like little blips in them and stuff on the screen and whatnot. But yeah, I'm so happy for you because, like I said, when we put Die Hard on, and I said to you, there's that scene where he goes, "Oh, that just made it for me." That was it. That was the scene. That was the scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm well chuffed. Lee, have you ever thought of going down the LaserDisc route? Can we persuade you to?
In an answer, no.
You can get all the Star Treks, mate. All the Star Treks are meant to be really good on there, you know.
I've got all the Star Treks on 4K. Why would I need that? Like, I'll be honest. Like, when it comes to films, that's probably the exception for me when it comes to quality, I suppose. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do own some VHS, but you'll notice the VHS I own are releases of films that weren't released later. For example, I've got the remastered untouched Star Wars films, or The Blob, you know, like films like that. So, you know, and also there's a little bit of nostalgia there. I've really got no nostalgia for LaserDisc. I mean, a friend of mine's dad did have one, and I thought they were impressive at the time, but yeah, and then it's also a case of room as well. I mean, these things take up a massive amount of room as well, don't they? No, that's not a rabbit hole I want to go down
Lee,
at all.
I'll tell you something funny, all right? When Martin come to my car to collect it, he was like this. And he goes, "Oh, this is really light." I'm like, "Yeah, it's just a big bloody machine, but it's really light inside."
It's really funny because it looks huge. You think, "Oh, that's going to weigh some. That's going to be chunky." You pick it up and like you got it in one hand. You're like, "I can't believe something this big weighs like nothing." And it's because of the drawer. Most of it is just the fact that it's a massive drawer.
Just the drawer in it.
The other thing with it also is, I mean, what's it kicking out? 480p if you're lucky. But probably.
I'm not even sure. It might even be 270. Like, I don't even know, in it. Like,
I'm not sure there's even a P, but it's
I don't even know. Like, I've never read into the what it's doing. I don't even know.
I do like the presentation. Like, that's one thing I do like. The look of the covers, you know, and all the extra detail and screenshots from the film. You know, when you look at like the back of an old VHS, I mean, yeah, we got nostalgia. We look at it and it's like, oh, that's nice. But it's nothing compared to what you get on a LaserDisc. Yeah, you got some. You can actually see the pictures properly on them, can't you? On the back and
from a presentational point of view, they're the best media. There's no two ways about it, because those gatefold, because there seems to be two types of LaserDisc. There is the standard LaserDiscs, which come in a LP type sleeve. They're still really impressive and really nice, and then you get what these gatefolds, where it opens out into like a double side, and inside can be all sorts of information about the movie, about the actors, about all sorts, and there's often littered with pictures. And like the Batman Returns one I've got it's just lovely. It's just like a really nice object to have. Like, and a lot of the
gatefold, Martin, have a special edition at the end. So if it's like, I think Aliens, because you've got the gatefold Aliens, I'm sure side 1, side 2, side 3 is the movie, and then side 4 or D is a special part or something, because my one's like that, my Aliens, but I think mine's a PAL or NTS, like an American one, and it's got a special edition. My Die Hard on the 4th side or whatever side it is, it's got special part, like an extra 20 minutes of talking, which I don't know where you would have got. And backing in on the videos, if you bought video, you didn't always get an extra. Well, you did some of them, but not a lot of them.
No,
because the Star Wars ones, at least talking about, they're like meant to be the really nice, the Star Wars LaserDiscs, and I don't rarely see them pop up. And when they do, they're like £40, 50 each. But the cover and the artwork is stuff that we've not seen before, as well, which is so cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I say, it's something that I'm not going to go crazy on. Or I say this, I already own about 15 films.
I was going to say you kind of have.
Yeah.
There's a new Lodge 2.0, and it's just for LaserDiscs. That's why the Wendy hat is getting pulled down, Lee. That was Wendy ass.
He's like, I'm not going to go mad. Week later, 15 LaserDiscs.
Yeah, but it is. I'm gonna collect those real iconic movies to me that are iconic. And what I want to do is collect the big sort of fantasy movie, because that's what I've always said, those are my favorite movies. So, you know, a grail would be the Clash of the Titans movie, which I know there's like a special edition gatefold on LaserDisc, which actually Sega Zombie owns, and it's wonderful. It looks amazing. So and Lee, you sent me Chef, you sent me the other day, which was the I think it was one of the Sinbad movies.
Nice.
Did I send you Jason and the Argonauts?
Oh, Jason and the Argonauts, that was it. Yeah,
I was about to say you've got to get Jason and the Argonauts if you Clash of the Titans.
There's a few like that, and again, they're not crazy. I mean, even when you look at the Clash of the Titans one, I think you're talking 50 quid, which is a lot. It's still, that's a chunk of money, but it's not like the hunt. You know, in video game world, that's nothing, right? You know, you're talking hundreds and hundreds of some video games. So, it'll be those ones, because they're also just lovely things to display. I mean, you could literally put them on the wall as art. You know, they just look fantastic. So,
I have a question: is Condor Man on LaserDisc?
That's a good question.
I've not looked for it, Lee. I mean, there's some films I've not even heard of on LaserDisc, like that, and then there's some that I haven't looked. I will look.
Yeah, you know what? I would bet it probably is, because I mean, I've seen a lot of films that I think aren't LaserDisc worthy, and they're on LaserDisc. So who knows? I guess it's who knows?
They come out on DVD, so you kind of think.
Yeah, you've only got to like blow up a DVD, and you've got a LaserDisc. It's like, it's fine. You just got to make it bigger. Just rub it. Right. What's next on the list? Nerdy Geezer, I'm going to come to you, and I think you're going to talk about SG1. And what is SG1 for people who don't know what SG1 is?
Well, StarGate SG1 is the TV series that followed on from the movie that wasn't very successful. Let's just say. I mean, do you know, it's interesting when you look at it, right? That film had everything going for it, didn't it? It had Kurt Russell, who was really hot at the time. You had a great soundtrack, and it just looked really nice, didn't it? It was a nice looking film, but just unfortunately, like the plot, there's a lot of slowness before it sort of ramps up, isn't there? But the concept was really good, and this is obviously what people noticed about it, and of course we ended up with a TV series, and this is one of the rare occasions, I think, where the TV series surpasses the film, and it is like a sequel to it, because it's meant to be, I think, a year later after the film. So, you know, they picked, for example, the guy that replaces, is it Michael Shanks that played the original Daniel? I think it is, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
They replaced him with another guy, but of course, like, the guy they picked looked almost like him, and in fact, and this is the other thing about old TV series that you don't get now, actors go out of their way to act like the other character to make it seem like it's the same person. You don't get that now. And then he did for the first few seasons. He really does act like Michael Shanks. So, it's. I'll be honest. There's a couple of things about the series, because the reason we're talking about this, I should add, I've recently rewatched it all from the start, and the funny thing about that show is, for the first 7 to 8 series, you've got a running storyline that is basically them against the Gowls, right? And the soldiers that work for them, the Jafar, which are the ones that you see flying around in the Death Gliders in the first film, they're kind of like slaves to them. They believe they're their gods, right? And for the first few seasons, it's all about proving to them that they're not gods; they're just people with technology, and you shouldn't worship them. You shouldn't work for them. You know, they're using you, right? And it really works. But unfortunately, what happens is when you get to like Series 7, well, really, it's more Series 8. Then we start seeing a major problem start happening, right? And that's where they start switching out some cast members, and that really changes things. And then they kind of start repeating almost the same storyline again when the Ori come into it. And again, it's the whole God thing again. And I think that's probably when people started to switch off, because it was like, we've seen all this before. But you should stick with it, because when you watch it, you actually realize why it's almost a repeat of the Gal World. And it's because of something else that's been happening throughout the series as well. It's all very cleverly linked. There's some really funny episodes in it as well. Like the guy who was in MacGyver, I forget his name. He's the one who plays Jack O'Neill, Kurt Russell's character. They turned him into a more comical sort of character, and it's quite funny at times, some of the things he comes out with. But it's just an enjoyable series, and unfortunately, it got cut short, and they had to wrap it up with a straight-to-TV movie called The Ark of Truth, and then they did another one 6 months later called Continuum, and that wraps up the whole story. But I always felt that, and I still do now, when I rewatch it, I'm always a little bit sad when I get to the end of it, because I'm always like, this show needed more. Like they could have done so much more with it. And I know we got like Stargate Atlantis, which was a spin-off, and then Universe. I never got into Universe. I didn't like that. Atlantis, I watched all that. It was all right, but I don't know. I just felt that SG1 could have gone a lot longer than it did. I think they maybe needed a different direction, but yeah, I'm always a little bit sad when I get to the end of it and I'm like, oh, okay, that's that done again. I always want more, you know, at the end of it. Have you guys ever watched it?
I've watched the movie, so I've seen the movie, and I thought the movie was all right. You know, it's I think I just struggled with that, almost leaning too heavily on the Egyptian theme of things, you know, and it not feeling alien enough. But it was all right. It's an all right movie, you know. The TV series, I think I can remember Atlantis more, and I think that felt to me very cheesy and a bit low budget, and the acting was a bit wooden and stuff like that. I don't know if I can remember much about SG1, but Atlantis, I've definitely seen that on like sort of Sky One and stuff like that. Like it's like that kind of classic late afternoon sort of TV, and it being a bit like nothing seems to ever happen in it. Yeah, I won't profess to be a Stargate sort of have much knowledge of. Chef, I don't know if you've seen much of it.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed the movie, but I always felt the movie would have been better if it was a bit more violent, because the way I felt the movie was portrayed, you saw there was lots of violence in it. You didn't see much, but there was always something that was very like hostile. So I always felt it might have been better as a 15 or an 18. Because Kurt Russell, you know, he's one of my favorite actors, by the way. But anyway, I just felt that him in the role, I thought it was going to be more gritty. I don't know, because it was confusing what angle they were trying to take. Because you had the toys in Argos, I had some of the toys. I remember all that stuff, like, and I just felt it wasn't aged appropriately. It should have been the 15 or an 18 with a bit more violence, because it was a hostile alien takeover. You know, in theory, I watched the first series of Stargate on TV. I think I don't know what channel it was on back. It might have been Sky. I can't remember now. And it kind of fell away for me. But I did enjoy it, and obviously seeing MacGyver, because I used to love MacGyver. I always forget his name. But the MacGyver actor, I used to love MacGyver. So when he was in it, I was like, cool, it's MacGyver in Stargate now. But obviously he wasn't. He was carrying on as Kurt Russell. And obviously the guy, I can't remember his name, obviously is Kratos' voice, isn't he? I forget his name as well now. I did enjoy Atlantis. I don't think I ever watched Atlantis. I think I was watching probably Angel or Buffy or Brimstone or like Supernatural, which I still watch now around these kind of times, you know. So yeah, I didn't watch Atlantis, unfortunately.
I should correct myself. I said Michael Shanks. Michael Shanks was the replacement for Daniel. It was James Spader that did the original, wasn't it?
Oh,
That's what I
James
meant.
Spader, Ultron. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blacklist, another good program he's done.
So how long was SG1, Lee? Is it like multiple seasons? Is it a single season?
No, it's loads. 10 seasons.
Oh wow, 10
Went on for a
seasons.
long time.
Crikey.
So it went for 10 seasons and then 2 straight to TV movies to wrap it up because it got cancelled before they finished the storyline.
Well,
But
I mean, 10 seasons are pretty damn good innings, isn't it? Really,
it is. Yeah, it did well. I mean, and then obviously Atlantis got 5 seasons, and then they did Universe, I think, which was 2 seasons. I didn't like Universe; too dark. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting one because you said about heavily into the Egyptian thing. Well, what you notice with the series, there is heavily Egyptian stuff in it, but there's also a lot of Norse stuff. And then also in the later part, it starts going into King Arthur and the Round Table and that.
Oh,
And it's
cool.
quite clever how they tie it all together as well. It's quite good.
Yeah.
Did you say you watched Origins, Lee, or no?
No, I haven't actually. I got told it wasn't very good, so I didn't want to ruin. You know,
because it's about the if I'm right, it's about the older lady who's in the first film. It's her as a young adult.
yeah,
if I'm right.
she does come into the series a couple of times as well. Her, so yeah.
Oh right,
could be.
okay.
Yeah, could well.
I've never
be.
watched it, but I know it's on Amazon or Netflix. It's on
It's on
somewhere.
Amazon.
Yeah, I have seen it before. Like, I've seen it pop up.
Yeah, I might have to watch that. But like I say, I heard it weren't very good, and I didn't really want it to tarnish my view on it.
That's fair enough, isn't it? Yeah, I might watch the first episode just to see, have a little feel for it, just to see what it's about.
Yeah.
Is it one of those series, Lee, where you've got to go in it from the beginning, or is there a jumping on point? If people didn't want to do 10 seasons of it, could they come in at a certain point, or
You've got to go from the beginning, otherwise you won't know what's going on. Because the thing is, one of the important parts to the story is why, if you remember at the end of the film, Daniel gets left on that planet because he gets married.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
you've got to see why now he's come back to Earth and he's joined SG1. And then you've also got the fact that you've now got to know who the fourth member is, which is a character called Tirk. And you've got to watch the first episode to find out how he ends up becoming a member, because he's a former Jafar.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so you've really got to watch it from the start. But and I'll be honest, some of the earlier seasons are actually the best ones, because there's one in season 3. I'm trying to think of the name of the actor. You know, the comedian guy that was in Cannonball Run, the guy with the beard, chubby guy. You know which one I mean?
Yeah, I know the one you mean. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So he's in it, and he plays this great part, and he's so funny in it as well. So funny. He plays a character called Ergo, and it's so funny. Like, if you get a chance, like if you're having any doubt about watching it, pick that one out and just watch that episode. It's so funny. And then there's another one. I forget the name of it. Season 4, where they're basically repeating the same day over and over, and they go a bit mad. It's Tirk and Colonel O'Neill. They're going through the same day over and over and over. And so when they go a bit mad, someone mentions to him, Daniel mentions to him, so if you wanted, you could kind of do whatever you wanted, like, couldn't you? And it wouldn't have any consequences. And all of a sudden, the two of them like, oh, yeah. So they start playing golf through the Stargate and things like that. It's really funny. It's a good episode. So, yeah.
Totally good. Nice. Okay, cool. Well, believe it or not, my next topic, which also I think leads into your topic as well, Chef, because we can talk about them at the same time, is another piece of new hardware in the lodge. So another new piece of hardware, which is I now own a Famicom twin disc system. What's the official name of it, Chef?
Can we
Famicom
twin? Sharp Twin Famicom home entertainment system.
the Sharp Twin Famicom.
You need to have, otherwise you'd be taken off you if you don't say that correctly.
Okay. I will make sure
Let's
to
start again. Rewind.
I don't want to anger anybody. Yes, another piece of kit that Chef brought once round for me to share. Actually, when we all streamed together for my
Correct.
100th episode of Monday Night Retro. The links in the description below. You can check that out. We had a little play of your one, Chef, and I instantly fell in love with it again because of the reasons of I enjoy cool tech, and this is one of those things because Nintendo actually produced floppy disks, or actually fairly rigid disks, but they would be considered floppy disks given the media inside is floppy. But the whole thing of loading games from a floppy disk, obviously a big fan of the Commodore 64 disk system, the Amiga, even PC when they used to be disks back in the early days of DOS. So to have a disk system on an NES essentially is just so cool in my eyes to play some of these games. So yes, you again put your feelers out there, managed to find one for me, and I now have it in the lodge. And again, I am absolutely loving it. I love the fact that the controllers are connected by a really janky cable, that the colors are all over the place. So you got one button color, different color buttons, the casing, everything about it is so un-Nintendo, but it's so Nintendo at the same time. It's just so cool. And I guess that's the Sharp influence there, in that they've obviously done some of the styling of it and things like that. But yeah, really, really happy to have it. And I've already played some really fun little games. Obviously the Japanese. It does both Japanese carts and Japanese discs, and yeah, really, really chuffed with it. And I guess, Chef, I was going to come to you on the topic of the twin Famicom, but also hidden gems was your topic. So, are there games on there that we just didn't see over here for the US or the power regions?
Yeah. So, obviously, I mean, the boring techie side, like people don't know, is that it's got an extra channel of sounds. So if you was to go on YouTube and you listen to Castlevania's intro on a cart and on a disc, it's completely different. It's got different channels, so it's got better music, which sounds silly because it's an 8-bit, but it has got better music than a normal Nintendo NES. But yeah, so the mysterious castle, Mirishima's something mysterious castle, whatever it's called. That is by far my favorite hands down game on that system. We never got it. It never got a PAL or an American release. I said to you, Martin, Nintendo, you can actually Google this as well, and it's actually really cool. They made a manga about this story, about this particular hero. They spent loads of money on Nintendo. And it came out at the same time as Zelda, and they actually thought Zelda wasn't going to be as good. And Zelda obviously I say it's outshone, but then what I would say is that this game never got released in PAL territory. So it'd be interesting to see, but I think they just put all their money on Zelda. The game mechanics is so cool. Like, you've played it where you can disappear. It plays like Zelda. It's a top-down game. You have to go up the pagoda. Like, there's like a castle pagoda. You have to go and collect your, I think it's your wife or your girlfriend, and you level up weapons. It's not a one-hit mechanic. You get hit 2 or 3 times, then you die. And every time you go on a screen, there's different exits, so the game's never the same. And it had thunder in the beginning, which was cool when you saw that on the noise. There's obviously Excite Bike versus, which Alex Big Al's Wrecking Crew Arcade goes on about, because I believe it's the only way to play it physically. I know you can play it on the Switch, online Switch NES portal. You can play the versus Excite Bike, but you can't play it any other way unless you play it physical. There's a Transformers game that I've been trying to get, and it's really hard to get. There's also, this is where it's like the echelons. There's an Aliens game, okay, that is so rare. I've only ever seen 2 copies go, and it sells for quite a bit of money. I say it's about 80 quid, but it's still a lot of money for what it is. It's a bootleg of the MS MSX system, but it's really good, Martin. You should really Google it and have a look at it, Aliens. But it's just a cool system.
Yeah.
You know, it plays parts and disc. You know, Nintendo don't often give out their brand to another company. Obviously, Sharp did the SF1, which is a TV screen when Super NES cart goes in the top. And there also is another Sharp TV where, for the American market, where the cartridge for a NES goes in the front as well. We never got them here, obviously. So to get these, and in UK now, it's cool. And the last thing I tell you, on the second controller, there's a tiny microphone. Okay, and this is on your one, Martin. There's a little microphone on the controller. Certain games react to that controller. So when you're playing Zelda, there's these these enemies called Pose. Now, if you shout into the second controller, it kills them. You don't have to kill them. There's little things Nintendo did that we didn't get here.
Yeah.
Things like that, which are so like blasé, but it's just cool. It's just Nintendo. Yeah, it's just we're geeking out here, boys. We're geeking out here on Nintendo.
That's what it's all about, man. And like, even my kids were impressed when I showed my boys the molded discs where it's actually got Nintendo molded into the, like, we all know what a 3.5-inch floppy disk looks like, you know, an Amiga disc or something like that. It's very generic. It's very there's nothing special to it. But the fact that they had plastic molded Nintendo discs with the actual Nintendo engraved, well, molded into the plastic, which means there's a machine bit out there used for the injection molding of these discs and produce that. It's just so cool because they could have obviously used something generic. They could have done easily, but it's Nintendo, so they don't. They do something very bespoke to them, and the fact that these things exist is brilliant. And it's
there's
just
a mascot
so
as well,
unique.
Martin. There's a mascot for the Famicom system, this system as well. I'll send you a link to it. It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Look, ultimately, it's a system now that again I will be picking up games for when I see them. Obviously, it'd be nice to pick up the things that are unique to that platform or are better on that platform than the original. I know you sent me one, which is the tiny Final Fight. What's it called? Mighty Final Fight.
Mighty
isn't
Final
it?
Fight.
Yeah. Which I think's which is on US and power regions, but it's a very expensive game, isn't it? So
700 plus cart only, I think it is now.
Yeah, where on Japanese it's £50, right? So
yeah, and it plays exactly the same. It plays no different.
Yeah. So I'm really chuffed with it. And again, going back to the ceremony of firing it up using the disc system, it's just so cool. So I'm really
intro
chuffed.
Screen, Martin.
Yeah.
Intro screen with Mario, like
yeah.
Why have we got that over here?
Yeah, well, I think it's the only Nintendo console to have an intro screen, right? I mean, the NES doesn't have an intro screen. The SNES doesn't have an intro screen. If you turn them on with nothing in them, nothing happens, right? And then it's just a blank screen. So, yeah. Right, Lee, are you going to this? You said no to LaserDisc. You said no to that, but can I tempt you? Can I tempt you with a Famicom, with a twin Famicom?
It is very tempting because, well, you'll remember one of the things I noticed when I come round at Christmas when we was playing on Chef's one. First thing I said was, "Wow, it's really colourful, isn't it? Like so much more colourful than the NES, and and also like you say, the sound. So it is very tempting, but I don't have the room. It's not another rabbit hole I want to go down. I certainly don't want to be buying discs which could degrade, which, let's be honest, probably will. I do like the look of it. I mean, let's be honest, it looks much better than the NES, doesn't it? The NES looks nowhere near as good.
Martin's one's a Model 1, so it's more molded and round, whereas mine's a Model 2, and I don't want to say it's sleek, but it's a little bit more squared, and yours has got raised bits on it. The Famicom's raised. I ain't got that on mine, but mine's just a Model 2. There's no difference in how they work. It's just visuals. They just visually look different.
Yeah. But they just look so much nicer. And like you said, I mean, you can clearly see the Sharp influence. I mean, even the quality of the plastic seems better as well, don't it? It doesn't look like that thin sort of would smash in a million pieces if you dropped it. It looks like you might have a little scuff and it would still work, like, you know. So It's nice looking. It does look really nice. I'm tempted, but maybe later down the line, when I get a bigger place, maybe maybe
Yeah.
it's something I could look at again.
It's a
But
nice
at the
way to
moment,
play the Japanese games. It's because obviously, you get the SCART for it. Whereas, I mean, I know you can get a SCART for a NES anyway, but it just plays it nice and colourful. I know you've got your Retro Trio Plus, which plays NES, doesn't it? You were saying.
yeah, it plays
So,
most things except Famicom. Unfortunately, it's the only
oh,
thing it does. Yeah,
okay.
it's the only thing it doesn't play. It plays because it plays SNES, NES, and Mega Drive, and it will play all regions except Famicom. It will play
Well, that's
Super
strange.
Famicom, but not Famicom, unfortunately.
Mm.
Oh,
Okay.
fair enough.
But you could
Yeah.
probably get a converter, couldn't you?
Yeah, I mean the Retron 5 plays Famicom, but I'm sure there will be a little adapter you could probably get as well.
Yeah.
So
Lee, the cheapest way, and this is another hidden tip for you guys. If you buy Gyromite, the car only,
I've got that.
all right. So if you, I'm gonna see if you can do this. I'm 99% sure that they all come with an internal adapter because the game wasn't made officially here. They had to mod it. So I'm sure that when you open it up, it's gonna have a little another motherboard that it's connected into. I'm 90% sure because my one, I've had 3 of them, and they've all had like an external chip inside. They're actually a heavier cart.
I think you're
mm,
right because I'm sure I've heard somebody say this before,
Yeah, so
but
that's a
I'm not.
cheap way of getting an adapter, if that makes sense, because then it will play
Yeah,
into it in a
I
way.
can't cannibalize that. It's part of my Rob the Robot set. There's no way.
No, yes, cool. Oh,
Yeah,
oh, no,
no
don't do
way.
that, chef. No, no,
yeah,
no.
nice. I wonder if there's a way to if there's a reverse adapter so that I could play NES games in my in my Famicom. Is because actually I'd rather have that hooked up than my NES, so I could have that hooked up in its place, but play Power Carts in it through a adapter going back the other way. So instead of going from NTSC to Power, going from Power to NTSC.
The problem you'll have is the American system is like ours, the toaster.
Yeah.
So where I would say go and buy an American converter, I have to do a little bit of research for you. I have to
Yeah.
have a little. I'm sure they must do because there is PAL games they never got
Yeah.
over in Japan. There's 100% there is.
Because that would be quite a cool way of having it. Because then I could have it hooked up where my NES is at the moment, and just use the Famicom for everything.
Yeah.
That would be super cool. Yeah, look, it's another platform, another system. It's my first Japanese console, to be honest. I don't think I have anything. I have an ability to play Japanese games, like my Saturn, because of the Game Genie thing. I can play Japanese Saturn games on it and stuff like that, where it makes it region free. But this is my first actual Japanese console, so that's really cool.
That's cool.
So yeah, well chuffed with it, and definitely on the lookout. The games look really nice, like the presentation again of the discs and even the cartridges. They look really nice, and they're all different. Unlike the NES, I know the NES did have some colorizations, but the majority of them are grey. They've got nice labels and stuff, but with the Famicom, they seem to have a bit more freedom with the colorization of the cartridges, the look and feel of them. So it's really nice. And like you said already, Chef, like the games aren't astronomical. You can pick them up for very cheap. So yeah, that's my latest addition to the lodge. It is the last. I'm not going to continue to add systems. I didn't think I was after a twin Famicom, but now I have one. I'm very happy. So cool. Lee, I'm going to come back to you because I think your last topic you were going to talk about was your love-hate relationship with DC Comics.
Yeah. There's something really strange going on with DC Comics, and I'll be honest, this is a bit of an irritation. So I don't know if you started collecting this line. Did you, Chef? Did you start getting Batman 89 Echoes? Did you?
Yeah, I've got up to 2 or 3, and then I haven't bothered getting the rest yet.
And did you have a nightmare getting hold of them?
Yes,
like I have.
because I was waiting like yourself for a little while for them.
Yeah, it's I don't know what's going on. I've got a good idea. I think they're having problems, like financial problems, because so let's get back to the beginning of when this series come out and why I think this is a problem. So Batman 89 Echoes came out, it was either October or November of 2023. It's a 6 comic book run. And most people who know about comics will know that comics come out on a monthly basis. Well, we are in what now? We are in March and we still haven't had issue 6. So when you look at that, that's nearly a year and a half later, and they still haven't finished it. And in fact, I went to pre-order it, couldn't find it. And it's only in the last few weeks that I've actually managed to find it. And initially it was put that it was going to come out in April, and now it's been put back again till May. So at this point, by the time I get to the end of that, if it comes out in May, and I'll be honest, I'm not holding my breath, that would have been what, 19 months?
It's mad.
That's insane. Like,
Yes.
there's something clearly really wrong there, and I think they're having financial difficulty. I really do, because if you go into a comic book shop now, like, and there's not many around, let's be honest, but if you do go into them, they have a huge amount of anime, and it's because that's what the kids want.
Yeah.
And I do think that we are potentially looking at DC really being in trouble, because I mean Marvel's going to be affected too. But what we've got to remember is Marvel's a huge franchise now, thanks to the films. DC weren't so lucky with their films, were they? So
I'm desperate to say, are we witnessing the death of Superman? Because that was a comic book that I remember. So
yeah,
is it? Oh, I'm dying to say this. I'm just on the tip of my tongue going, I just want to say the death of Superman. So I sound like I know what I'm talking about.
I should add that's a comic book that's actually probably not really worth anything these days.
Oh.
That's been released so many times. But yeah, it's like I say, DC has not been so lucky with their cinematic universe, have they? So I feel that they've for quite some time been a little bit behind Marvel, which is a shame, because I love Superman, I love Batman especially, and it just seems like there's something really wrong behind the scenes. But the thing is, these companies, they're not going to tell you that. But I think the fact that it's took them, or will have took them, 19 months to release a 6-month run, I think that speaks volumes, right? Like,
It's mad, isn't it?
I'm actually quite annoyed. Like, I'll be honest, it's kind of put me off. I want to get the 6th one to finish the run. But at the same time, I'll be honest, it's kind of put me off buying anything new from DC now, because I don't want to go through this. Not every time I want to read a run, you know?
Yeah.
So
What's your thoughts, Chef?
DC's a strange one, because I've said before, and I know Lee agrees with me with this. Their animation movies are the best.
yeah,
Like the Marvel ones do not touch them by any way at all. And then, you know, again, like Lee and myself, we love Batman. And there's some great animation movies of Batman that if they made into real films, my God, would they make some money?
yeah.
And it's just so strange. I mean, I don't know, Lee, if you've watched any of the Crisis Infinity newer movies that have just not long come out.
No, I haven't. I haven't got to them yet.
They're definitely worth watching. They're really, really good. But anyway, you know, like when the Flash movie come out with Michael Keaton, everyone was under the assumption that it'd be based on the Flash Paradox movie, which was when you had Thomas Wayne as Batman and Bruce had died, and that was such a cool movie to watch, but we didn't get it.
Yeah.
But I just think, I think they're in a bit of trouble. I mean, there's rumors that, again, this is, you know, they've had to lay out so much money to pay off people to get them out of contracts. Whether that's true, obviously we won't know. And obviously James Gunn seems to be head guy there now. Well, I know he's not the comics, but I don't know if that's the reason why they're spending so much money on that side that it's affected. I don't know. I wouldn't have thought so. But they always struggle with their comics for the last couple of years. Whereas, like you said, Marvel have just got so many iterations of comics, whether it's, you know, 9 different Spider-Man storylines. It's a shame because I always thought DC was more adult style comic compared to Marvel.
Yeah.
And obviously, to me, Batman. I mean, I like Superman. I haven't got a problem with Superman, but Batman, I think, is just so cool. And to not get these Echo stories out because the '89 comic set was so good. I loved the comic, the '89 storyline. So hopefully, it's just something silly, and because I'd hate for them to stop making comics. That'd be a real kick up the backside, you know. I don't know.
Yeah. My only thought on this is as a dad of 3 boys, obviously I have a daughter, but she's not into comics and that. But if I look at my 3 boys, Clark is reading One Piece. So he's not reading DC, he's not reading Marvel, he's reading, because back to your point, Lee, around sort of the manga side of things. So he's reading One Piece, of which there's like 1,000, like there's a lot of One Piece. One Piece is huge. So he's reading that. We're currently buying the books for that. They come in like packs of 3, like you can get 3 of the sort of in one book. James is reading Berserk and Chainsaw Man. So he's reading those 2. And Blake is reading Jujutsu Kaisen, if I've said that correctly.
Yeah, you have.
So, like, you've got 3 boys. You got 3 boys there who should be prime Marvel, DC targets, and all 3 of them. This is no influence of mine because I don't. You know, I watch a bit of manga here and there, and a bit of, you know, I don't read a bit of comics here and there. But they've all gone down that road. They've all gone down the sort of the manga road, and they haven't looked at DC or Marvel. So if there's a trend, I think your point there, Lee, of people are going that direction because they're getting what they want from it. I've got 3 boys, exactly that. All their money is going into that space. So yeah, I would say from our point of view, DC and Marvel are in trouble because young people aren't reading their stuff. And this only survives by young people, right? Yes, old folks, yes, we'll keep it going by buying it, but we're eventually going to die off and then you're left with what's behind. So yeah,
the mangas, the thing with the mangas are you pay what, £4, £5, and it's a thick old book, one episode. They're big. And what with Jujutsu Kaisen, no spoilers, but a lot of people die in that comic, in that series. They're like, I watch it. A lot of people, they're not scared to kill off the main characters. Same as My Hero Academia, you know. A lot of real cool characters have been killed off or lost their powers, and they're not afraid to do it. Whereas with Marvel and DC,
they play it
like
safe.
Lee said earlier on, they killed off Superman, but then they brought him back. You know, like they're not willing to I don't know. I just think manga just does it so much more better, which is unfortunate. You know.
The other thing is it's a cultural difference as well, and I know Martin's going to roll his eyes when I say this, but I'll just briefly, I'm not going to harp on about it, but there's obviously a big shift in the way Western comics are done. Let's just say, right? In Japan, there's a very large, heavy influence on, as you know, in their culture, the man is the head of the house, right? And I suppose one of the things that also pushes kids over that way is because in a lot of their comics, you know, the male is the hero. And, you know, if you've got young boys that want to look up to someone, well, they're going to go to that, aren't they? They're going to gravitate to that. So, and of course, then there's the fact that, you know, their heroes are actually heroes. They're not a shade of grey or made to look weak in any way. They are
they're colourful,
strong male role model, you know. And like you said, you know, killing people and all that sort of stuff, that's all very appealing to a kid, isn't it? Like, it's all very exciting. So I think like we was when we was younger, you know, we're all looking for a hero, right, to attach ourselves to. And you grow up watching or reading or whatever these heroes that kind of influence how you become an adult to a certain extent. And I think that's what Western culture's lost. But, you know, in Japan, they've not lost that at all. They've still got that. They've honed right in on that. And I think this is why we're seeing kids going over to anime and manga. I really do. You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, but even to slightly counter that, I mean, there is fantastic female strong characters in that as well. And a
Yeah.
female strong character doesn't mean just replace the man in the character. Like it's also
Yes.
be a strong female character in the ways that you can be a strong female character. And then there's plenty of them in in certainly all the animes that I've talked about that I've seen. Obviously, there's plenty in One Piece and Jujutsu Kaisen and stuff like that. There's some
Yep.
great characters in there.
Yeah.
Obviously, Berserk is about the main guy and things like that, but certainly I've seen plenty of representation across the board in those. So yeah, I just think, like you say, I think that maybe they're producing more interesting stories. They aren't suffering with this. No kid's going to wait 6 months for one comic that's probably 20 pages long, if that, and is just and be like, okay, I'm done. I mean, it's crazy, right? It's, that what you described there earlier, Lee's. Who's got the patience? Like, you've got the patience because you deeply love the franchise. You're a collector and all these things. But what kid's got that patience? No kid's waiting 3 months for an episode of their favorite comic, are they? It's just bonkers.
No.
They've moved on. They've gone and found something else.
And the worrying thing is, when we're all dead and gone, you might find that Batman and Superman just disappears because the kids won't know what it is.
I think that's a real possibility. I think that really is, because as we've discussed, I have 3 boys, and not a single one of them is currently reading or wanting to read about these superheroes. And even the movie stuff has dropped off. I mean, my boys will still go and watch a Marvel movie because they've seen all the others. And it's almost like, oh, well, I'll go and see it because it's like you don't want to break the chain almost. Like you want to see, I'll go and watch the next one. And it's also because there's not much else on at the cinema, frankly. But they're not like hankering for the next one.
Yeah.
It's the desire, I think, is gone. But I can guarantee you, if Berserk brought out a movie that was new in the cinema, they'd all want to go and see it immediately.
Yeah. I mean, you know yourself, like Chef watches Gundam Wing. I mean, look how exciting that is. Why would you
Gundam Wing
want?
so good.
Why would you want Green Lantern when you've got that? Like, you see what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, the next big test is obviously the Superman movie, right? I think that's what. Let's see. I think the world will speak on whether that is a big hit or not. It'll have a big weekend, but will it have staying power? Will it still be the biggest movie after the first week and so on?
It's had a bad test screening, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So I'll be honest. I'd be lying if I said I weren't worried. And that whole thing with Crypto the dog, that's left a bad taste in my mouth, as you know. We've talked about it on here. Yeah, I'm worried. I'm really worried. Like,
but that's what, in the old days, and I'm not saying we're trying to get in the old days, you would have had a comic book run, I assume, a movie, a toy line. You had the whole stuff all happening around it, right? So that you could get that going. But we don't seem to have that same. Like, I don't know if there's going to be a Superman toy line. If there is, it'll probably be bad, and not sell. But that doesn't seem to happen anymore. It doesn't seem to be. So we'll wait and see. I guess we'll see.
I think the problem you've got, right, is that, I mean, they've put all their eggs in one basket with James Gunn, haven't they, in this new DC universe, and it kind of all hinges on this Superman film doing well, to a point where he's now changing his lineups. He's then started saying, "Oh, maybe the Patterson Batman will be part of this," when originally it wasn't going to be. And I mean, that's a crime that they didn't do a second part of that. Like, we've got to wait years before they might do one. It's a whole mess, and I think this is why you're probably not seeing any merch or anything. But I mean, this is the problem. They've got to get this right, because if they don't get this right, like we're saying, you're going to have a whole generation of kids that aren't going to know what Superman is, or Batman, and possibly any of the other DC characters, because there's a lot of them characters in this film. They need to get this right. They've already messed it up once. They need to get it right this time. Yeah,
I completely agree. I think this is a make or break for it, because a fantastically successful movie might lead people into comics, might lead people into video games about the characters, all these things,
It works with
but
Marvel.
you need a gateway in, don't you?
It worked with Marvel. I mean, like, Iron Man was a not even a secondary character, maybe a third character, like, you know, someone that no one really thought of. And then that film come out and they relaunched the comic. Kids went mad. They all went out and bought it.
Yeah,
Iron Man's now one of the most popular characters in the Marvel franchise. And he wasn't before. So, you know.
Yeah, and they've always had good toys. They've even video. I mean, one of the largest video games in the world at the moment is Marvel Rivals. You know, which is a big online shooter where you play. I mean, me and the boys play it a couple of times a month, easy. And some of my boys play it almost every day. So they've always got a good ecosystem around the movies. Now the movies are always varying in quality, and certainly the last ones seem to have been wavering significantly. But we can't fault them for the rest of it that they do around it, right? You know, where DC, you never hear of it really. I mean, what was the last big DC game? I can't even think of one. There probably has been them, but I can't think of one. Mortal Kombat, so when they appear in that, you know, has there been what's the last big DC game you can think of?
I'll be honest, you got them now.
Injustice.
The last game that was pushed was Gotham Knights, and that was terrible.
Yeah, Gotham Knights was terrible. Yeah.
Great storyline, but
hang on, Suicide Squad kills the Justice League.
Again, also terrible. Yeah,
rubbish.
Yeah,
rubbish.
Yeah.
You know, you had one of the characters, Captain Boomerang, taking a leak on the Flash. Like, you know,
they shot Batman in the head, and like, you know, I think, and that is a game that is not only panned for its story, but also the gameplay being very, very boring and repetitive. Trying to be a looter shooter, but just doesn't work, and very, very boring. And then it's like Arkham Knights. Yeah, I heard not great things about that. Obviously, the Arkham series, those Arkham games, the Batman games,
was awesome,
brilliant.
That was really good.
Yeah, especially the first one. I think Arkham Asylum. It's not as big as open world as the other games, but it's I would recommend everyone play Arkham Asylum. It's fantastic. That opening sequence of Joker is amazing. You know,
it's unreal when you're walking him through. My favorite one doesn't get not a lot of love. Is the second one, the Armored Edition on the Wii U, because the Wii U version's got lots of extras, which they did bring out on the PS3 later. But the Arkham City, I used to love Arkham City because you'd be out in Arkham rather than in the asylum. You'd be out everywhere, and I really enjoy. Azrael was on it, Batman, Batwoman. You know, it's Nightwing.
I liked Arkham.
But those are old games now, right? I mean, if you looked at go on, Lee, jump in, go on, mate.
I liked Arkham Knight as well. That whole bit with when you're in the Batmobile, you're shooting as well as trying to drive, like hard but great, really
great
good game. Yeah,
great game.
But also, those games are now probably 10 years old, right? And that was my point.
And the rest,
it's like they are old games, and DC just aren't building a universe. They aren't building an ecosystem around their IPs, and therefore they're getting forgotten about. And then you have a film that comes out which no one's bothered about. If it's poor, I think they're almost done. It's like, of course, it will never be done because people that are diehard DC will keep it afloat, but it will be afloat. It won't be, you know, excelling at what it should be, you know.
2009,
it could be a real shame.
2009, the first Arkham Asylum game. So it's 16, nearly 17 years old, mate. Bloody hell. What
That's
a game,
retro.
though.
That's retro now, mate. It's retro.
Yeah. Great game.
I mean, you know, going back to the film, like introducing crypto into this, right? I mean, you know, I've got my problems with this, but one of the main problems with it is you really only put that in there for the original fans, because these kids now, they're not going to know what crypto is. Like, they ain't going to have a clue. They're going to be, why is there a dog with a cape? What's going on?
Yeah.
Like, you know?
Yeah, and if they just throw that in, you're right. A bunch of people are going to be like, that's weird. And then what's worse is if they try and spend 15 minutes of the film, 10 minutes of the film setting up who crypto is, you're like, well, that's a waste of 15, 20 minutes of where we could have had some really good Superman action. Because what we want to see is Superman saving people. That's what we want to see.
That's exactly what you need to see. Yeah.
We want a gritty Superman like Batman. The Batman Robert Pattinson. I don't like Robert Pattinson. I don't like him. But that film, I really enjoyed that film. It was gritty, it was dark. I mean,
Third
Oswald
act's too
Cobblepot.
long.
Sorry?
The third act is too long, though.
Yeah,
Drags on a bit.
It does drag, but I think I really enjoyed like Jim Gordon being that guy, Phoenix Lighter. I don't know, I can't remember his real name, but a great actor. I really enjoyed it. I want a gritty Superman. I enjoyed Man of Steel because it was something different than what we've seen before. You know, seeing your dad die. The Kevin Costner scene was like I thought was up there when he died. He could have saved him. But
Yeah,
he says
and
no.
he puts his hand out and says no. He just says like,
wow.
Yeah.
And now we've got a dog. Woo, with a cape.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill was the best option for Superman.
Was,
They've done him dirty so badly.
And that's what I want to see. I want to see Superman saving, like the whole scene where he's actually saving people. I think is the bit I want to see. I don't want to see fighting a world-ending boss because they end up blowing up cities, killing more people than possible. It's all becomes it's a big CGI mess. Yeah. It's not what it doesn't land Superman as this savior who's going to go around, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think it is a real make or break point for DC, and that then has an effect, of course, on everything else: the video games, the comics, the toys, the whole ecosystem that DC has. Without a successful movie sort of franchise, it's going to hurt everything else, and which is probably why you are seeing, like you said right at the beginning of this, massive delays in comic prints and so on. So let's see. Let's see if we are witnessing the death of Superman. Right, let's try and wrap this up, gents. Nerdy Geezer, what are you up to at the moment? What's coming in the future? Tell us about all those things.
Well, as you alluded to, at some point I've got to do these little like vintage Star Wars figure pickups on my collectibles channel, so I'll have to do that at some point. I've got loads of other bits as well. It's just time at the moment. Couple of games I've been playing that I want to do a review on. I mean, one of them's a beat 'em up. I don't want to give away what it is, but I wasn't aware of it until I found it. I was buying a game, and then if you paid a bit more, you got this bundled in. And it's a nice looking game, but it's got, I think, issues. So I wanted to do a video on it, just, having a look at it, talking about it. But movie side of it, I'm in the middle at the moment of writing a script for it, because it's going to be looking at a certain film and delving into its meaning, if you like. But I'm not going to give away what that is. So that'll be on the movie channel. So I don't know when that's coming, because I'm still sort of playing with the script on that. But yeah, that'll be a good one, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. Chef, what are you up to?
I've got some games I need to unwrap and actually play. Some brand new hidden gems to be playing and to be showing off throughout the YouTube community and universe.
Is it a grail?
Swap. I don't know, but there's some good games. I mean, there's some nice ones. I mean, one of them, this has got an Amiga. Ice Palace 2 is originally on the Amiga. The original game, and the Commodore 64, and this is the sequel to it. So I'm looking forward to actually playing that, because I've never played the first one. So I've got quite a few games to unwrap and to go through. I mean, there's loads. I've got loads here to unwrap and play. And we've got SwapShop end of the month on the 30th of this month, and I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah.
So that should be good fun. And that's about it, really. If I do a pickups vid, that'd be interesting, because there's loads. I've got so much stuff piled up. It's a joke, to be honest.
Nice.
So yeah, that's about it, really, mate.
Well, the ShopShop's been an absolute storming success, mate, from what I've seen. Every single one of them has been 70, 80, 90 people on there watching, and obviously people have come on and shown some absolutely amazing stuff that they're moving on, and people are making money, getting deals, making connections, all this sort of stuff, right? So I think you're back at doing what you do best, which is, you know, the swap shop for sure. So it's nice, and long may it continue. So yeah, what was it, the 30th of this month, right? The 30th.
Yeah, 3rd of March, the last Sunday. It'll be on. Yeah, it's going well. Like, obviously, like I always say, I don't really show anything now because the guys bring so much stuff. I mean, like, people are robbing Rumbelows and Dixons. That's what it looks like. Some of these places, some Rumbelows, yeah. Some of these play Tandy. Some of these stuff people shown, like, it's just mad. And like, every time I see something, I want to buy it, but I always hold off because I think I'm just not here for me; it's for everyone else. Because you could, like, well, you're the worst, to be fair. Anything to me, go, yeah. It's a bit of a joke, to be honest, Martin. I need
you don't get a look in on Commodore 64 if Martin's on there. Like,
it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Oh man, like, you can't even, I remember saying, don't even show it, just keep it for Martin. Like,
yeah, put it in a pile.
Yeah, it's all.
It's good
all,
fun.
All part of fun. It's all part of fun. So yeah, it's all
It's
good. All good.
Definitely good fun. Well, I'll be on the lookout now for any Famicom stuff that pops up now. So you know, hopefully a bit of Famicom.
Well, hopefully, yeah. There's
nice.
Get some more Nintendo people on.
Yeah, it's really nice. And obviously, we're waiting for this toy special, when the toy special edition happens. You know, if that's going to happen at some point.
Yes, I've spoke to many people, and it's trying to align them, because the problem is, these particular people I'm trying to get, they do all the shows. Every show, every toy fair they're at. So then the Sunday's like their relaxed day. So they're just a bit, but you know, it'd be great to do that, because there is some great guys who we got to meet at the toy fair who I'd love to get on, and they've got some awesome stuff. So yeah, hopefully we can get it worked out for this year.
Nice. Cool. From myself, couple of things coming up. Obviously, I'm off to Adepticon next week, so that's going to be really cool. So I'll definitely be doing some footage from that and some videos from that. So for those who don't know, that's a 4-day event in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and it is the largest wargaming event in the world. So me and my son James are going out there for 4 days with newly painted armies to, you know, eat great food, play loads of games, walk around massive conventions, probably come home with a suit. I'm actually taking an empty suitcase with me to bring home all the things I plan on picking up. Yeah, it should be a really good event, and I'm going to try and do some vlogging type stuff out there. I've got my new gimbal, I've got me remote mics and stuff, so we'll try and do a kind of cool little show and tell of it all. So that'd be really good. Obviously, Monday Night Retro is back in full swing. So we just had an episode. Loving past Monday. Yeah, we've got a new theme. We've got, hopefully people have seen the new intro and stuff now. I really feel settled in it now. Last night was, apart from one internet blip that I had, it just feels so much fun to do, and it feels quite natural now to do as well. So hopefully people can come along and join that. Monday Night Retros every Monday, 8 o'clock. Unless I advertise otherwise, but yeah, and then just doing bits and bobs. But yes, Lee mentioned earlier about beat 'em up games and games. It would be wrong of me to not mention that Steam has a sale on right now. So if you're listening to this, Steam has a few more days left on their sale, and the reason why I mention it is because you can pick up games for pence, like literally silly money. These games are normally like 15-20 quids on your Switch or your PS4s and 5s and so on, but on PC you can get them for a couple of quid. So loads and loads. It's worth checking out for definitely.
Good example, you can get virtually the entire Mega Man collection for £23.68 on there at the moment.
Yeah, which is crazy, right?
So that's mad. How many games that is.
Yeah, and I sent an example to some people this morning, a game called Katana Zero, which is a really cool, fast, 8-bit sort of, 16, I call it 16-bit, retro-styled game, action platforming. I think it's £16 on the Switch digitally, and it's £6 on PC. So, you know, you're paying 10 quid for the pleasure of having it on a different system. So definitely worth checking out. I'll always be a big advocate of the PC, and just if you want cool games, you can get them cheap on there. So it's definitely worth checking out. But yeah, okay, cool. If you do stick around right to the very end, I will play our new theme song. I forgot to mention it at the beginning, but the podcast now has a theme song, which is pretty bonkers.
It's good. It's really good as well.
Yeah, a little help from our overlords in the AI and me giving it some prompts about what we're all into. It has generated us a little funky tune to play. So you would have heard a little snippet of it at the beginning of the podcast, better than the synthy thing I used to put on at the beginning. A little bit of the theme song, and if you wait around, you can listen to the full. I think it's like 2.5 minute long version, which I think is quite fun. So yeah, I think all it leaves us to do, guys, is say goodbye to everyone, and we will see you on the next one. If you are listening to this and you got this far, drop us a comment, drop us anything you like, let us know what you think of the show so far. It's been 6 months, so I think that's already an achievement. Let's see the next 6 and get that first 1 year in the bank. Awesome. Right, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you all again next time. Say goodbye, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Grab your joystick and let's explore pixel worlds behind that door. Dice are rolling, the board begins. Nerdy vibes for the wins. It's geek bait, we're hooked for sure. Talking passion, pure and more. Movies, comics, games collide in this retro neon ride. Every month the mics ignite. Phantoms clash, they shine so bright. From galaxies to fantasy planes, we're geeking out, it's ingrained. It's geek bait, we're hooked for sure. Talking passion, pure and more. Movies, comics, games collide in this retro neon ride. From cardboard pieces to virtual zones, the nerdiest fuel we've ever known. Laughing loud with geeky flair, 3 friends bond in the air. Join the chat, grab a seat for the stories that can't be beat. Sharp opinions and loads of fun in this geeky realm we've spun. Join the chat, grab a seat for the stories that can't be beat. Sharp opinions and loads of fun in this geeky realm we've spun.